Hello, everyone. I hope everyone had good sleep, and it's not so hard this workshop. I still don't see my slides, but yeah, I am Canet Solà. I come from Tallinn University. I am trying to finish my PhD soon. I belong to Kudan, like Andres that did presentation yesterday morning. Kudan, we are a group, multidisciplinary group that we do cultural data analytics. You can check our website. And myself, I am also an artist, and I do artistic research. But for many years, I have been involved in data visualization. And I think that's the reason why I'm presenting here the tool that I developed with a colleague of mine of Kudan. Well, I will present a tool, and I will present also the topic of the workshop, that is navigating visual collections using image embeddings. I don't know how familiar is this for you, the embeddings and so on. I hope I can, if not, clarify a little bit during the workshop. Basically, just to introduce in the topic, with generative AI and the digitalization of the last years, we have now piles of unstructured data, especially images, that is more what I'm talking about here, but I mean also text, video, and audio, ready to study. And to put even this more in context, I don't know that if you know that in the last 2 years, even not 3 years, this is data from 1 year ago, we have produced the same number of images that the whole photography in 150 years. Means I will imagine that this will produce that we can study a lot of things because we have a lot of material. That is basically the exponential growth of media due to generative AI tools appear on the last years. And our approach in this with our tool is a mixed method approach, where we can do computational methods, but also qualitative methods, and I will try to introduce more. But before, I want to introduce the challenges of studying image collections. Because when we talk about an image collection, we talk about a lot of information that needs to be analyzed, and with traditional methods it's complicated, because if you have, for example, I don't know, 100,000 image collection, how you start to look something there? If you start to look just image by image, it will take a lot of time. Means that is where it makes sense to use some kind of digital methods for analyzing. But at the same time, yesterday they were talking about the text and the text into vectors and so on. The image is highly dimensional, multidimensional. It's just like much more than the text, because well, this is a recent paper by EPFL and Apple, and I just put it here because I like this graph that they make. They use for something else, but they kind of dissect the different modalities where you can actually see an image, and it's much. You can see that there are a lot. Like you can actually get the depth of, like for example, just starting by here, they have geometric modalities where you can actually get the depth of the image. You can get the surface normals, that is actually how light diffracts onto the image, or you can get the 3D human poses there. But also you can get into in the color modalities, where you can get just the RGB color or the color palette. But you also can get into the edge modalities, where you actually look where there are edges on the image. But then you can also get into the text modalities of the image. I'm just going like on kind of clockwise. And in the text modalities, you actually do a caption. I will show how in my tool I do already a caption of the image, and how useful is this. Basically, an automated caption of an image. But you also can get like the embeddings of these texts, and then there's the metadata modalities, where actually this is the more usual normally, where you have a data collection and some expert had done a metadata out of this, and there are some historic dimensions and so on, sometimes not very complete, sometimes more complete. But then they have the global features modalities, where you can actually look into, with AI, in different features of the image. The next is the same, like feature map modalities is similar, where you can get the areas where there is something. For example, if I'm looking with clip, I can look if there is a cat, and which is the area in there of the cat. I mean, I like the cats because they're always good example. And it's tons of cats in internet. Or semantic modalities, where you can actually make a segmentation of areas where there is things. And I just make the round of, but just that is only to explain how multidimensional are the images. And well, actually, almost all cultural data, and that is what we do in Kudan, we do cultural data analytics, is multidimensional, because it has many layers of information, and this is actually dimensions that we can actually analyze from it. And that's what is the complexity of studying. It's multidimensional, and when we have a collection, there is so many items in it, means this multiple dimension of many items makes that if we don't use computational methods, it takes a lot of time to study. Just simple as that. This is actually a paper we published with Andres. Well, Andres first author, I'm second author. Last year in the Journal of Data Science, where we actually invent and publish a new embedding system that uses compression on the images. It's an explainable embedding system. And actually, in fact, the tool was to demonstrate that this works for clustering images in this embedding of compression. I don't have a lot of time to explain how we did it, but just put it in simple. We actually do transformations of the image, like simple as making a blur or converting some image to black and white, and then we do a compression of this image, and we use the baseline, the uncompressed image, and then we take the image, compress it, and we look the difference of size of the image, and by this we construct the embedding space. I will explain later for the people who is not familiar with the embedding, what is an embedding. And that is the tool that we produced that was an outcome also of this research. And also we published a paper September last year, the Collection Space Navigator. Is here the reference. And okay, what we do with the Collection Space Navigator is that we have large digital collections that we want to study, and then we use embeddings. Well, I just pointed our embedding new system, but we use also existing other embeddings that are existing to use, like ResNet 50. That is the one that we use by default. And then we do this visualization of this multidimensional data through a projection reduction techniques and filtration methods. And I now finally arrive to kind of explain you, for the people who doesn't know, what is an embedding. An embedding is, we have an image. And an image is quite complex because it's basically an array of pixels that is RGB normally. And we need to make sense of this. And it's pretty big. It can be some gigabytes of data. then an embedding is a reduction. It's like a matrix of numbers that represents in some way this image. Each embedding can represent it differently. For example, if yesterday someone asked me, oh, what about to look, I mean, ResNet, let's say that is a general purpose embedding system for image, and it's very common to use. But if we will look, for example, faces on these images, then we can use a face embedding method, where we actually can navigate through the faces. And these numbers will be only related to the faces that are in the image. Means what all this modality can be produced an embedding of each one. And this is different way of reading these images. What Collection Space Navigator is basically using embeddings and metadata to do a system that you can make projections and filtration in an interface. And what you only need at the moment is, well, it's good if you have a metadata, but you can do it only with the image collection already you can use. And I don't want to go very technical, but just to explain you how is built the tool. The tool has very differentiated two parts. One is the visualization, where it's actually done in web technologies. I mean, it's one framework called React. But I mean, doesn't matter, doesn't need to know, it's in JavaScript. You don't need to modify the visualization unless you're doing some custom thing. And then there is the second part that is the data processing that is done in Python. And basically, the data processing produces some config files that when you put into the visualization, then it produces different visualizations of collections. And well, the idea is that in the Python part, you can extend pretty much in many ways, because you can calculate different dimensions or your own type of embeddings depending of your project. This might depend pretty much of what you are trying to look on the images. Like I explained, there is many modalities, and you can focus in certain modalities in certain project and in others in another. There are also some good part of the tool is that you can host online when you finish, which makes good for dissemination of projects and collections. And unless you extend, the current version doesn't require a backend. It's all client-based. When you finalize, there is no need of the backend part. Just like a web server, regular web server with serving HTML. Means what boils down is that all you need is an image collection to start. I mean, not all you need, but kind of like what you need to start. This is some examples of already like projects that had used already this. Kinochronica is a colleague of Andres and I, Mila Oiva, who had done a project visualizing the Estonian newsreels, is the Soviet news during the Soviet time. And then the Badis Landes Karlsruhe Museum has put his collection online using our tool for displaying the collection. And then, I mean, I just mentioned down that in the course of data analytics of Tallinn University, also some students, they use it for their master thesis work. And please, if you use in some projects, send me a link. I will be happy to list it on the GitHub and so on, and maybe in presentations. Yeah, this is the tool is open source in MIT license. You can see our page and code in their GitHub. And when it's all exported, you can run just also in locally, a part of in online. And I will show, we will go to prepare the data, but before let me show the tool that you understand a little bit better what I'm talking about. Well, this is the demo that we have in the website. You can show different data sets when it's prepared. This is the wiki art on ResNet 50, well, one section of wiki art. And for example, this is compression ensembles, is the one we did for the compression embedding system that we did. Now here is showing 27K of public domain images clustered with our compression embedding system. And what the tool also is good is that you can filtrate something. Some of the dimensions can be directly from the metadata, and some dimensions can be compute. The PCA one is a compute one, and year it actually comes from the year of this painting. And then you can navigate onto each item, and here on the left side you can see the basic information of this image. Also, when I was saying projections, we can project in different algorithms like UMAP or TISNI. And what this makes is that the clustering gets different. This is a well-known thing on the literature because these are constructed algorithms. Means the way that they cluster things is just based on the algorithm. And we making different, we allow to use different projections because if you want to get an understanding of the data, you need to see it in different ways, and then you can draw more conclusions out of it. And or some algorithm can serve you better than other. You also can project it in not in multidimensional reduction of the embeddings like the other ones, but basically by correlating two variables. Like this one is year by PCA. That's why it's like a long thing, because we are navigating now by the years. This is the histogram of the years. Yeah, that's, for example, Kinochronica. These are video collection. The data set is sliced by years. I don't know if you can see here. It's just very small. It's just like from 1938 to 1941. That's the videos that we see in here. In the online version, you don't see the video in the left side, but we made it that in the offline version, you can see the videos on the side. That's due because the videos are very heavy, and we will need a very big server to host all the videos. And then there was some issues of rights. Means in large collections, that also a case where you can actually just serve it locally if you have some copyright issues that you cannot serve kind of in internet. Let me show you some other things. We have also here some advanced features where you can actually do some conditionals on some metadata dimensions. For example, finding some artists. Well, now I just put one random. Let me put another one. William Turner, yes. No. Yeah. Means now I I just selected from one of the artists. Like a search. And anyway, when you have some kind of like filtration, you can also produce a comma-separated value from this filtration, and also you can produce an image of the position of the images that you can download. Yeah, this I will show you later. Is another one that I did yesterday with a public dataset of flowers. Okay. Now we can go to the Colab to explain how to prepare some set of data for it. Yeah, let me explain. I put this the presentation in this document for preparation. I can go there. Is basically this link is in my workshop. Is this link of the slides, or also the data preparation Colab? I mean, you can go directly to data preparation Colab. Then, when you open, the best is you make your own copy. You save a copy in Drive. I can also do then. You should see then copy of Riga workshop. Okay, this one I call it version 2. It's like a more advanced version of the one published in GitHub. And then the first thing that we need to do is, well, I guess you had using Colab. I heard for some things you need to connect to the server of Google. These problems of connection with Google, it seems like a network issue. I didn't know that. Now I'm in my mobile internet. I'm sharing for myself. I got connected. Okay. As you can see, there is different steps that you need to follow. Okay, to prepare this data, the first thing to mention is it depends which collection, how the size of this collection is. We have a test set of collection that is actually, I think, the best one by now to try, because it's only 1,000 images and it's not so slow to do it. I did, for example, yesterday, the one that I just showed one moment, I can show later more, flower collection that was like almost 2,000. And then it gets a little bit already, it was a thing to process the automatic generation of metadata was like something like 30 minutes to produce. Means, yeah, just to put you in a scale, like if you have like bigger, it will take time to calculate. I mean, this is to calculate. Before, we were asking to just use our tool. You need to come with your own metadata. But especially for this workshop, I actually prepare like a simple auto-generated metadata for images, which I generate file name, file size, colorfulness, hue, color, brightness, contrast, edge density, focus, how focus is the image, and the caption. The caption is similar to what you were doing yesterday with Andres. It's a zero-shot auto-generated caption of the image. It might fail, but in general, it's quite good. I use Bleep, is one of the models. And also, let me show you that you don't see any code here, but they just hide it. The code is here, OK? Means if anything you want to extend or there is some little problem, you can see the code, and eventually you could fix it yourself. OK? I mean, this is not is an open source project. It's not a product. Means, yeah, this is not like a Adobe ready solution thing. This is like experimental tool, which is good, but I mean, has its limitations, can be extended in many ways. And the good thing is that actually you know what you are using under the hood, because you can actually look. And why I think this is very important is because there is now some tools in the internet and so on that, for example, makes embeddings, and there are like ready solutions and something. And you don't know which algorithms are using for doing the embeddings, and more important even, which settings they are auto-including in there. Because at the end, this is a mathematical construct of things. If you don't know which settings they're using, pretty much they do the magic for you. And it might be that you can tweak it to get better results for your thing. And if you want to also publish for replicability of science, you should be able to actually know all the settings and algorithms that are used in there. OK, once you connect to the computer, you need to start to play. The first one, I can show later, but I will better, you don't need to mount a Google Drive now, but I will explain for what purpose is. The Google Drive is the purpose if you want to use your own collection to process. You can upload in Drive, and then from there, you actually can get it to be processed here. And that's what I did yesterday with the flowers. The problem is that it's slower, because there is two computers passing information, and that's also what is making it slower. The flowers was not only slower because it was a little bigger collection than the test set, but because also it was in Drive and the compute, and they have to transfer information between two computers. Means let's start by importing the libraries. This what it's doing is actually cloning our collection space navigator from the GitHub. And this, I just pressed this folder here, and you can see that it just created the folder collection space navigator, and what is inside is actually well, when will be updated? Yeah, you can see the files. If you look, it's actually the same files that there are in the GitHub. Just to explain you. Then the next thing that need to be pressed is define the input. OK. And this is important. Basically, the first field is actually, let me try to do bigger, no? Because the text is a little bit small. Well, yeah, I will zoom like this. OK. The first field is called title, and this is the name of the collection that you want to put. This doesn't matter. That's just like a descriptive name is the one that you see in the drop menu. By default, we have this test set. And the minimum thing that we actually need, that's why, like the embeddings and the metadata, if you had calculated before, you can just put the path of them. Or if you have a metadata file. But the minimum we need is actually the image folder. Is where are the images of this collection. This one is example data test set images. Let me, like, do you understand where we are now? Is basically, it will go here. That they are all the images of the test set. Oh, yeah. I just want to go out. OK. And the last field is called image URL prefix. This one is actually where the image in high quality later on will be. In our test set, we have now in GitHub, but GitHub has one problem. You can only have maximum 1,000 files in one folder. Means we are our dataset is the limit, is the maximum you can have in GitHub thing. But we did like this because GitHub then preserve you forever, and our EU funding might finish, and then we don't know what will happen later. But this is also can be served a local host. I can show later. And all this boils down into the config file that I will show later. OK. I will, if you use just the test set, you have always this here mark, but you unmark. Now we will use the test set if we will not be the test set. Like if will be your images. Just and the next thing is to load the images. And the output here, it says, I found 1,000 images. And then it says, metadata need to be generated, embeddings need to be generated, because I didn't input them. I left the file blank, right? There is no file here. Means I don't have it at the moment. OK? Then the next thing is going to generate metadata. But this is like an automated generation of metadata. OK? But it led me to explain you one thing. If you have your own metadata of these images, the only thing necessary for the collection space navigator to work is that you have on the rows of the metadata, one field is called file name. Because this is the one that will link this image to the metadata that you have. But this I will auto-generate. I will just press here. Because of the caption algorithm that I'm using, in Google it's really fast, but it just downloaded a model that is 1 GB almost. OK, and now here, again, it's autocomplete because I already put up the folder of images, and this is the output where it output the file of the metadata. But doesn't matter. In reality, you can leave like this and it will pick up. But in case you want to save it, that is the. And I just press process, start processing. And this takes about 10 minutes or something. It is processing at 2 seconds per image, something like this. But actually it's doing in parallel, means it goes a little bit faster. Did everyone arrive here? Yes? I mean, now it's going one by one of the image and basically calculating this, this auto-generated metadata of the file size, colorfulness, hue color, predominant hue color, brightness, contrast, edge density, focus, and caption. And here down, I added which type of data will produce, like the file name is in a string, the file size is in integer, the colorfulness is in float, well, and so on and so on. And the next, after this, we will process the embeddings, what I was explaining before. By default, it is set up ResNet 50, but here are the list of other embeddings that is already include that you can process. You just need to copy the name and put here. I mean, as you see here, optional is if you have, you don't need it. If you will have included in the beginning, we don't need to process. But since in purpose I left it clean because I wanted to show, this is not optional as here it is write it down. I mean, this is processing, but I can press already the import libraries, and this, when it will finish, directly will start already to process the embeddings. The embeddings are much faster to be calculated. Means this is the auto-generation of metadata is actually the slower step. And again, you could add or remove any of this auto-generated metadata is here inside the code. I mean, I can open. It's pretty simple to remove some of the of these columns. The only one really you need to leave is the file path, like the file name. This is like the one necessary because that's the one that links the image to the metadata. Row means it's kind of the identifier. But besides of that, you could. This is where you can add any computed method for analyze the image and add it here and use it later on. If you want to use for filtration, it needs to be an output in integer or float, one of the two, in numeric value, because then you can actually filter it later on. If you use it if you output a string, like the caption, then you can actually use for the advanced search filters, where you can actually do how I did before, searching an artist, for example. Or while we are waiting, let me show what I did with the caption. This is the flowers. It's a public domain dataset that I processed yesterday. And for example, in the advanced filter, I will just go to caption. I will say contain yellow. And voila. These are images that contain yellow in different extents. Some is a yellow flower in a garden. Some they have very little yellow, like this one is like a white flower with a yellow center. But I see very powerful because I can navigate to all the images that in some sort they contain the yellow. And then I could also filtrate by the more colorful ones. And these dimensions, you can calculate it in anything that you want. Means I just make this more like related to the image, but it could be in other different, and you could have metadata that is meaningful. When this image was made, who made it, in where was made. All these things could be included here, and it could help you to navigate onto the collection. And like I will reiterate some things that I did already said before, but we have exportation method, and I will now do. I can save an image of this. Wait, the thing went to downloads. Of the image, maybe useful for some figure, but maybe the comma separated value is even more useful because this gives you the list of images. That I am displaying now. Not all, but the selection that I'm just displaying now. And let's see, I will come back to the, it just almost finished. Okay. Here, it told the place where it exported. Is basically, is this one? If you do something that you want to keep it, I will say then you actually need to download it. And then you don't need to process 2 times the same thing, right? Okay? It is understandable? Like you press download it, and then if you download, you can either import it in locally and put the path in the beginning, or you put it in some folder in the drive. Okay? Especially if it's a very big collection and it takes maybe a day to process or something, or some days, depends. Now it's already making the embedding. As you see, the embedding is much faster. It's almost complete. It jumped automatic to do because I already pressed the place. Means when it finished one task, it went to the next one. Okay, that's the same thing. It output in this path, and we can find it here. Is now in here, embedding in ResNet 50, and we could download it also. Okay. Yeah. Now we can go to the generate the interface. Okay, this interface, let me explain. Well, the first one is basically the images. Is taken from the metadata, and the column is called file name, like I said before. Then the second one is the info fields. This is, for example, in this one, I will say you select everyone, like this. And we'll show all these fields in where? Well, in here, in the left. These fields is the ones that you select in where I just went. If you select less, you will have less of the fields showing here when you go to one image. Okay? I come back here. Yeah. And then the next one here is actually the sliders, the one for filtration. These sliders here is, again, you can, if you want, select all. But if you didn't want someone, if you don't select, will not appear there in the sliders. And then the next is the search advanced filters. I select that I want to search in the caption. The caption is an automatic description of the image done by Blip. It's a one-shot model. And the last one, I will not select anyone because they are actually not clusters. To be clusters, they need to be numeric groups, like 1, 2, 3. At the moment, unfortunately, it's not automatic. Normally, the clusters are done with metadata. For example, if you have some images are sculptures and the other are paintings, and then these numerical categories, you need to put it in order, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then this will make clusters that you can see it with images. Let me show. I didn't show the cluster feature. Not in this one, but in this one. Is here in object. Well, let me reset this. Okay. Like this, you can see different kind of images where they are. In this one is genre, but also style, for example. Is the border color, okay? Yes? And you can pretty much show whatever thing on this that you computed if you have this numerical classification. Okay, then this is done. And the next thing will be to generate the sprites. This is pretty much something that we use it for fast loading images, nothing else. It's making an image that contains many small images inside. Now only produce one image because 1,000 images is fitted in one image. In some larger collections, these sprites might produce 20, I mean, if it's some 30-something images or more. I didn't explain one thing. We actually, in a local fast machine, we managed to display 500,000 images, but pretty much this is dependent on which machine you are running. Because since it's actually all calculated on the local machine, if you have a fast machine, like a gaming machine, that has a graphic card, can can see more of the images. And if you have a normal average computer, we'll be able to show this. All the demos are tested for kind of regular computers. But if you want a lot of images, then you will need to have like a better computer. Okay? Yeah, we did the sprites, that was fast. Okay, then, now we enter into do the mappings. The mappings is actually this kind of mappings are the ones that we can produce. Wait, here, sorry. I'm just messing around. Okay. As you see here, they are all optional. You can have one, or you can have several. And let's start with the PCA. This here of add to the slider is that we can add PCAs onto the sliders for filtration. Let's add it. This is some sort of like multi-dimension reduction from the kind of image to the filtration system from the embedding. This kind of makes sense because it relates the embedding to the filtration system. And yeah, it took 3 seconds, it's fast. The UMAP is another method. By the way, if you're not familiar with the PCA or UMAP or TISNI, we actually link it to the algorithm that we're using, and you can get all full literature. They're all papers about these multi-dimension reduction systems. Let's say that is a very big and extended topic to enter into a lot of detail. But before I was mentioning that we actually display the settings that we're using, and you can change it. That is also why we actually refer to the links of documentation, because you can actually find out what is the near neighbor and the minimum distance and the metric, and you can also play with it and see which one fits more to you. I can tell you that the default values, they work. You can use it, and they're good, pretty standard. But if you think that the UMAP is not doing well, the clustering, you could play with these numbers and try to improve it for your purpose. Means what I'm doing now is just adding different projections. And then either in the beginning or the end, if we want, we can add 2D plots from the metadata. We could just do, for example, a plot that combines the file size with the brightness. Pretty much this doesn't make any sense, probably, to compare the file size and the brightness, but it might have other that makes more sense, like maybe year of production with, I don't know, how colorful are some paintings. But it's just on the sake of the demonstration. Okay, and now I just already did all the mappings that I want, and I press to the next one, that is set the sliders. Okay, this one, what it's doing is that you can add some descriptions to each slider. This is the name, but this is actually the description. The description comes here. I don't know if you see. When you go to the name, it pops this little description. Yeah. Wait. Like this description in gray that comes. Okay. and this is what. And the other thing is the color. You see this is blue and this is red. These are the colors, will be the sliders, and you can change it. Okay? You could kind of design however you want. I mean, it will come with some predefined colors that we have, that they kind of are nice in theory. But if you like it, some others, or you want to cluster the sliders by certain colors because they have some certain meaning, you could do that. If you don't need, I mean, basically you don't need to do anything if you don't want. Then the clusters, basically we don't have clusters, but we need to press. And finally, we actually create the metadata. We pre-calculate the histograms. I'm just pressing play, play, play. And we are pretty much done. Now, I will download what I made. It just zipped the important files, and it's preparing to download. And when in a little while, we'll actually download everything. And then what we will do is to unzip it, and in terminal, go to this folder. And depends how you have set up in Python. Either Python 3, you open a web server of this folder. This is the one I just download. And I unzip it. And it has these files. In dataset, it has the test dataset. That is the dataset that we just generated. And inside has everything that we did. Let me go. Maybe the more important file here is the config. I'm just opening that you see. No, you don't need to open. You can open if you want. Here we have the projections, the name, and all the sliders that we set up. And you can change even here. I mean, you could use that, but you could also change here. If later on you don't want some slider, you could just like remove it from here and will be removed. The same with this is the info fields. If you don't want to show certain info fields, you can just like remove it from here. And the same with the prefix. If you want to change where the image located, you can change it from here. In fact, let me show. In thing was no. Like I have the flowers. Wait, where is the flower? Here. I have the flowers. And I put in the same folder, I copy the images of the flowers. The images are here. And wait, I don't understand now. And the config is here. And I just put the URL where the flowers are. That is datasets, flowers, images, and then I'm serving the images from there, from the prefix. This is the high resolution flowers. because the flowers are served locally here. And to show it in your computer, basically you go to the folder that you unzip, and then you open the terminal. I'm in this folder of the flowers. The port, you can run it in different ports. In the Colab, I said 3000, but here I'm running in the 8000. This is internal port locally. And when I am pressing, like, let me just show. If I don't have this and I update, there is no website. Okay, that you see that I'm not. Then I press this and I make like a web server, and voila, now I have the website.
Could you show that part again and a bit more slowly, please?
Sure.
This is like
I downloaded the zip. Yes, until here everyone arrive? Yes? Okay.
everyone unpacked it as well?
Huh?
I'm just asking if everyone has unpacked it as well. That tends to be a problem. It's unpacked. The zip file.
Yeah, basically it's a zip file, and you need to unzip it. When you unzip it, you get this folder. You need to see this folder. Then what I do is I go to terminal. Let's say that, you press CD to go to this folder. And in Mac, at least you can just do like that. You can drag and drop a folder to the terminal, and will give you the full path. Then when you enter, you go to this folder. If it's Mac, you can do ls to see that the files are there. In Windows, you can do dir. Here I cannot do. And then you need to do this Python, either Python 3 or Python. Depends how you have set up the Python. It just at the beginning, instead of, okay. Well, it's a little bit small here, but in the main thing, it doesn't allow me to. You don't have Python? Okay, well, I did this workshop in Amsterdam summer school, but since here there was a lot of like Python courses, I was like totally convinced that everyone has Python in the computer.
So not everyone has the offline version of Python.
Okay. Yeah. Well, anyhow, the instructions are all in what I explained. You can run it you can install Python and run it, and just did someone manage to make it run? No? What are the problems? If I saw, for example, some people that run it, if someone else wants to try another one, like yesterday, for example, the flowers, I mean, there's tons of data sets, but I, for example, use this one. But yeah, yeah. Basically, I can show. I put it in Drive, and now I could also show how to use this in Drive. I just put it in Drive, the images, and then I mounted. Let me mount it here now. Okay, I deleted the previous connection, means I will start from scratch again. And now I am reconnecting, and I will mount the drive. To mount the drive, you have to give permission to your drive. And here will appear the drive. Then this is my folders in my drive, which I have a lot, too much. Luckily, this one is just the flowers are here. And you can copy the path. And where I copy here, where are the image folder. And because I already calculated yesterday the metadata, I can also copy here the metadata. And in fact, I could even share this folder to you. Let me share in the okay. I will share it in the presentation. Okay. Now I will not need to do all the calculations. Oh, metadata location. Okay, now. That will be very much faster now if you don't need to calculate it. Basically, it's much faster. You could try. You already did the other one. Means you could. But instead of Python 3, you need Python because you have Python. Okay. I mean, for the ones who they don't have Python, there is also another option. It's at the end. I didn't explain. This group is a way to also make it available through the internet, but you need to go to Grook and sign in. And then you get the API key. And if you put it, you can serve the website through here. Well, it's supposed. Now seems that there is some error. Means no. I didn't prepare this because I was thinking we will do with Python. Something had changed over some time, and now it's not working. It's supposed to. Could also work. But you don't have Python installed, but you can install Python. That's, or you don't want to install Python. You can write this, but without the Python 3. Python, just Python, because in some computers it's set up as Python 3 and some just Python.
But just here?
Yeah, just write this. Well, just to get... let me go back to... Okay, well, we still have 14 minutes, and I can help if someone wants to still make it. But thank you for coming today. And as you see now a little bit more what this tool that we develop is about, hopefully if you find interesting, you can use it for something. And if you have some issue or you want to collaborate in something like academic publication using this or some research project, just let me know. I'm open to things. Trying to finish my PhD soon, but besides of that, Talent University, I don't know if I will have a new contract, honestly speaking. And yeah, I hope you found it interesting. And you can also try with the flower dataset. I share it, pre-calculated already. This is like, I showed before, the link is like a public domain images. The test dataset I didn't mention. This is a synthetic dataset done with Stable Diffusion. Why? Well, for like image rights and so on. And yeah, basically, hope you find it useful for you.